Hi, everyone, and welcome to Between Us Girlies Podcast. My name is Bran.
I'm Lindsay.
Hi, I'm Bailey.
And I'm Casey.
And we are so excited to be sitting here and filming our first episode. It's really not our first time sitting in these chairs. Mm-hmm. For anyone at home who has listened to a podcast or tried to start a podcast, bless your soul, because this is hard.
Yeah,
so hard.
It's a lot harder than it looks.
So hard.
We filmed an episode last week that was supposed to be our launch, and we just listened to it back. We were like, nope, we're going to do a take 2 of that. And one thing we failed to do last week was kind of tell everybody listening who the fuck we are. Mm-hmm. So I figured we could start with like a little icebreaker. We'll just share our name, our job occupation, and to make things spicy, how about a little weekend regret? I'll go first. My name is Bran. You guys might know me as Bran Flakes. I am a full-time TikToker, content creator, influencer, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And I'm 27 years old. I guess we should tell them our age too.
Yeah, that's true.
My weekend regret, and you guys, this will not be a regret that I have often. So take this and appreciate it, because I'm not going to come with this energy every week. I didn't get drunk enough this weekend.
You didn't?
Didn't. And you want to know why? And maybe this is another deeper regret. My friends were acting like fools at the bar. And if I am ever put in the position again where I need to have therapy sessions with my friends one-on-one at the bar, take me aside and give me a shot, because I wasn't that fucked up. I loved not being hungover yesterday, but that is my weekend regret. And for those listening, I don't know when this is going to air, but it was just Halloween weekend for us, which is the weekend to get extremely fucked up. So my weekend regret is not living up to my full potential as a blackout king.
That's a good one.
And Popcorn Casey.
Okay. I'm Casey. I'm 27. I feel like I'm on a dating show, like The
Casey.
Bachelor.
Hi, Casey.
I'm a social media marketing manager. Unemployed right now, but that'll change. And my weekend regret is trusting an absolute blacked out bartender to make my drink. Okay, we went to like the diviest dive bar, and I should have known when she had a backwards cap and 2 pigtails, like braided pigtails, that it was not going to be a good drink. And I was like, oh, can I have a tequila tonic, my typical? And as she's making my drink, she's making our friend's drink, and he ordered a tequila tonic and a vodka tonic. And when she hands the 2 drinks to him, she's like, I honestly don't know which one is which, so you're just gonna have to smell them before you drink them. And she was like, but I'm pretty sure this one is tequila. And she was wrong. She absolutely was not tequila. And that was the worst drink I've ever had in my entire life. So I unfortunately was drunk.
Yeah, it's crazy you guys had 2 separate weekends, even though we were together.
Right.
But you missed out because the drinks were $6.
Absolutely.
And they were probably 2 liters.
I slugged my drink. I don't know if I am just a raging alcoholic or obese. It's spoiler alert, it's both. My tolerance up to here. I know that shit was strong, but I was not seeing double the way I wanted to be.
I also feel like it took you a minute to get a drink. Like once we got there, I kind of just had to rip the Band-Aid off. I was like, if I don't get a drink now, I'm never going to.
Very
and
true.
then you like waited it out, and by then everyone else was 3 sips in and blacked out.
Yeah.
So
I only had 1 drink. Now that I think
yeah,
about
kind
it.
of same.
I had a
Oh
rumple
my
shot,
goodness.
actually, so let me stop.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, how was your weekend, Lindsay?
Yeah.
Well, tell us your name, age, sex, location first.
I'm Lindsay. You guys might know me as Bran Flake's roommate. 27, and I am a project manager at a tech company. I work.
Okay.
Yes, for a working girl. I would say that my weekend regret was, so I invited a friend to come play, and she is a Philly local, and she is oodles of fun, but she decided to be out of control this weekend, which is fine, because when you come to the party, you should show up, with the energy. But I decided to have a sleepover this weekend.
With who?
And you know what, Bailey? We'll save that for another time.
You didn't sleep at our apartment, is what Lindsay's saying.
I did not sleep at Casa de Brandon E. Lindsay. And I woke up to 27 missed calls from her. And there was a lot of drama this weekend, so I was definitely worried. It turns out that she did sleep outside of my door at 6 a.m. outside on the steps.
What?
And if you guys, the listeners, don't know this, but Brandon and I have a more industrial feel to our apartment. There's nothing comfy about it.
It's
so
concrete floors and concrete walls.
yeah, concrete.
Oh my goodness.
Now I have a question.
Papa.
How did you not wake up after 27 missed calls? Like
So-
that's a lot.
I do have a drinking.
Well, what I was gonna say was worse was I was home and this girl was banging on the door.
No.
Yes.
And you know what? I'm really glad I didn't wake up, because if I had woken up and I heard someone banging on my door at 6:30 in the morning and she never texted me, I would have like shit a brick. So I can't judge because I was actually in the apartment.
Oh my
And she's a
God.
loud girl.
Yeah.
Like she makes an entrance up. She has a presence. Like that's my girl. But that's my weekend regret. So
You need to bring her up.
Well, I don't
slept
blame you
through it
though,
like a baby.
because like a drunk sleep, you're out.
That's
you
true.
can't feel,
Yeah.
hear.
Call Maleficent because I was sleeping beauty. I was out like a light.
Oh wow.
Out like a light. Popcorn Bailey.
Yeah, now it's your turn.
Me, it's Bailey on the mic. I'm 27 as well, getting up there in age. I'm a full-time finesser. No, I work in finance. My weekend regret, it's not really regret, but I cured my hangover with 5 espresso martinis yesterday.
Good.
Is your heart okay?
Well,
Did
no,
you sleep last night?
I did. It was kind of hard to get to bed, but no, it was. I started with an espresso martini, then dirty martini, then
Jesus,
mimosa,
Bailey.
then a pumpkin spice espresso martini.
Everything okay at home?
No, everything's good because I usually don't leave the house on a Sunday. You guys know this. It's a Sunday that's Bailey's day, the Sabbath day. I was like the Lord's day, but I don't want to take that from him. But so my friend texted me and was like, hey, come to the restaurant across the street, run up my tab, get as much drink and food as you want to. I can't not say yes to that.
That was an order.
Yeah,
That was an
You
order.
did the right thing.
I even like debated. I was like, should I just go back to bed really quick? Because it was like 1 in the afternoon. But I was like, no, Bailey, just get up out of bed. I even saw a Casey story. I'm like, she's out and about. I'm like, let me be like a regular civilian. So my goal was, I just put on a sweatshirt, leggings, nothing crazy, not even really any makeup. I was like, let me go have one drink and go on home.
That's where you failed.
And I think by the second or third sip of that second drink, I was like, you know what? I might as well stay out, watch the rest of the Eagles game. Let's go Philadelphia. But then it just turned into like that restaurant bar. I was there for 4 hours.
I feel like longer. Like
Yeah.
I feel like by the time you texted us and then by the time you went home, I was like,
Right.
this girl's outside.
Well, because I texted you guys as soon as I got there saying I have a story for you guys. So I am with my friend who, let's just call him JP Morgan. And
JP Morgan.
yeah, you guys got it.
yeah. Oh no, that's good. That is good.
So I was with this fellow. He's a nice young man. We're friends. And all of a sudden, I look up at the door. And remember how I was telling you guys about my stalker the other day? I can go into that another time about my stalker. But I look up at the door, and the stalker's walking in with his
No.
mother to watch the game.
His mom.
His mother.
I saw him.
No way.
So I also went out, and when I was leaving the bar that I was at, I saw this guy and his mom walking, and my first thought was like, wow, that guy's like pretty. Like at first I was wondering if they were dating because it was an old man, and then I saw the guy and I was like, wow, he looks so familiar.
Right? He has a recognizable face.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he does.
So my heart's pounding right now.
No, I'm literally shaking. I'm getting nervous.
I was like, oh, this is why I don't leave the house on Sundays. Hello.
Shut up.
And so I'm looking and I see him go in like the back room because I'm sitting at the bar. But apparently they couldn't find one of the many open tables. So they come and sit at the bar right across from me and this guy. Him and his mother sitting at the bar across from us. Like we're looking at each other, like me and Brandon. And so I'm drinking an espresso martini and the guy I'm with is drinking a Bloody Mary. I look across. They have an espresso martini and a Bloody Mary. They stayed there for the entire game.
Had you guys already made eye contact at this point?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Did you say what's up?
Hey, across the bar, just hey, how you doing? And then like it was just I kept like looking at him or just looking down the whole time. I was like, I don't know what to do. But he finally left once the game was over. But that was my story, and that was only the beginning of the day, mind you.
wow. So you can't ever go back there because that's the second time we've seen him in that area in
I
Oh,
know.
weekend.
I know.
Yeah, in 2 days.
Yeah, I know.
So unfortunate you have to move.
I can't believe it's been nice knowing you guys.
That is crazy.
insane. My heart is pounding.
Wow.
But I was like, what are the odds?
That's crazy.
It was wild.
Oh my God.
I can't stand this.
Well, we're gonna rely on you for some chaotic stories because Bailey's the only single one, fully single. We don't know what Lindsay is.
Yeah.
Part time.
Leave me alone. Part time.
No, I didn't mean to say that. Take
But-
it back.
Oh, I was
didn't
gonna
take
say I
back.
liked it. I thought
So
it's funny.
last week, as we mentioned, we tried to film an episode and we were hype as fuck. We started posting on Instagram stories like little clips of us and some people were DMing us a little bit some crazy shit. Bailey, I think you sent an interesting screenshot if you feel comfortable sharing.
Oh, I do. But it's crazy because posting that opened up a can of like dicks, quite literally. A can of worms.
They've just been waiting for something to like have an opportunity to say something to you, and this was like different than your normal posts. So every guy was probably like, "This is my chance."
Yeah, I got a few. Ooh, I want to hear what you're saying up there. Or you look like a natural up there. Then the one, I sent it to Lindsay, but someone was like, oh, I can't wait to hear what your voice sounds like.
What?
Mind you, I post voiceover workout videos on my Instagram. So I was like, wait, what? And the one guy I even hooked up with, he was like, oh, I can't wait to hear your voice. What do you mean?
Now, let me just ask you, would these have been people you would have talked about on this podcast? Like,
Wait, no.
that is my thing. And like, I'm so over the term ick, but if I was to ever date again, my like deal breaker ick is people with this false sense of importance that like think that they are like the shit. Like they think that you were the first person in their mind. Like, have you ever been on a date with somebody and like they're so cocky, like they're talking about their job and they're like, oh yeah, like I'm like so good at my job.
Yes.
Like, and like that is like the ultimate like red flag deal breaker. Like, I will never talk to you again. Like, if you think that like your ego is way too big for what it is.
You know, that's like my biggest turn off is when people are just like trying so hard. And then it's even when you're like out with your girls and you're texting a guy that you just went on a date with and you're like, oh, I'm with my girlfriends. And they're like, oh, were you talking about me? Like trying to be like cute. And it's like, no, actually not at all. Or I was shitting on you. So
Please.
Oh my God, Casey, leave these men some hair.
And I feel like it's just like repeated pattern. Like, we're not even going to give this man a nickname or anything, but there is this guy that works at the bar that we frequent every weekend.
I'm going to throw my chair.
No, like we're not even going to get into it because I actually will get angry. My blood pressure will spike. But he thinks he is so cool because he works at this bar. Mind you, he does not work the door. He does not work behind the bar. I think he wipes the tables, which is fine. But for what he does, he acts like he is not only the CEO of that bar, he acts like he is like the mayor of Philadelphia. The DMs that he has sent are wild. But we'll table that. Let's start nice.
Let's everyone cool it down. Let's all just get our, I'm hot.
A little deep breath.
So the name of our podcast, Between Us Girlies, we'll go into like a little story of how that happened, but I just know someone is going to come in these comments and be like, you're not a girl. Why are you calling yourself a girly? So first off, let's set the record straight. Girly is non-gender. It's a mindset. It's a vibe. If you're listening if you're listening to this at home, you are a girly by default. Only girlies listen to this podcast. If you're listening, you're a girly.
Period.
Does anyone have like another definition for girly?
I don't know. I feel like I agree with like the mindset thing. Like it's like an action. It's like, oh, I'm having like a girly day. And it could just be like you doing things for yourself. It's like similar to like a hot girl day. Like it's just the personality you put on for that day. You don't have to be a girly forever. You can be like anything, but when you're with your girls, when you're listening to this.
And I would say it's like synonymous. Is that the way to say it?
Yeah.
Like synonymous
right.
for like a bestie. Like, oh, that's my bestie. That's my girly.
Yeah.
Like,
Or
and
like someone you trust. Like sometimes I'll walk into my house and I have two brothers. Oh my God. I have two brothers and a dad. And I'll be like, hey girls. And it's like, obviously they're not girls, but like they're my girls.
say
So I'm like,
girls.
hey.
Yeah.
Hey, Miss Girl.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's like also when you see someone doing something that you would do, you'd be like, oh, she's such a girly. Like if you're out and a girl's checking her lipstick in a mirror, it's like, oh, love that girly.
And it's also like a collective thing to say, like when we're like, let's be the girls who leave. If you're with your group of friends and you just all of a sudden decide on the same exact thing, like let's be the girls who go get Burger King. Let's just be those.
Let's do that now.
Just be those girls. Be that girl. I think that's like such a good like overall arc for it.
Yeah. So welcome everybody who's listening. We're all girlies together. So I kind of touched on this earlier, but I'm a full-time TikToker and influencer. And I was actually thinking about this last night. The first video I ever posted on TikTok, literally still up there to this day, is a video of the four of us at, I want to say Casey and Bailey's 25th birthday. And I'm doing this, I think, tequila shot at Bud and Maryland's outside. It was like 2021. And this is how little I knew about TikTok. I did like a slow-mo of me doing this tequila shot and I put Harlem Shake in the background. And that was my first ever video. And then the reason why I finally caved, and I was like late to download TikTok. Like most people were on it in 2020 during like the peak of the pandemic.
Yes.
I knew I was going to get addicted to it and I didn't want to download it. So I waited till January 2021 when Casey and Bailey's birthday was. And I just got so many messages from people all the time who would watch our Instagram stories, our Snapchat stories. And they were like, you and your friends are so funny. You guys act fucking crazy when you're out. I've seen it online. I've seen it in person. What are you doing? Like post some of the videos that you guys take on TikTok. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like my 9-to-5 job at that time was super casual. They knew I was a partier. I was like gonna upload videos, and we had like a fantastic 2020. At least I did. Had a great 2021. Like summer 2021 was my Roman Empire. We like had so much fun. We were going out all the time. Lindsay and I had just become roommates. We moved to Philadelphia. Casey and Bailey had already lived there, and we were just thriving. And people would like, I don't remember when it was, but we made a TikTok eventually being like strengths and weaknesses of the girlies. And we like did funny clips of like all of us and like put our strengths and weaknesses. And then we just kept doing them, and they kept going viral. And like everyone was commenting as if we were like characters in a show.
They're like, I'm Bailey, I'm Casey, I'm Lindsay.
Yeah. And like it was so crazy. Like Lindsay, you'll find out she likes to go home early. She's a little bit more responsible. And like people in the comments would be like, is Lindsay a Cancer? Like they knew. They knew immediately. So eventually like I quit my full-time job and became a full-time TikToker. And one day I got this crazy email from this media company that was like, hey, are you ever interested in like media production or television? Like we want to have like an exploratory call with you. I had no idea like what this was going to be. But it turned out they were this huge media company, and they were working with a network. They wouldn't say who, but they said it was a big prime network that wanted to develop a TV show around an LGBT lead. And they were like, we've seen your TikToks. We think you're so funny. You have such a great group of friends. Like, are you able to like kind of put together a roster of people in your life that you think would be good for this? So of course I said, you guys. And I don't know anything about production, so people at home are probably nodding their head, but they were like, we want to come and film a sizzle, which it's not like a trailer, but it's like a 5-minute, like almost like very mini episode. So Lindsay over here, like we said, she's very motherly. She plans this whole beautiful hibachi night. And it was pretty chaotic. They came and filmed us. They had lights, camera crew, everything. And the 4 of us were mic'd up, which was crazy.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah.
And we didn't really know what was going to happen like after that, but they were like, they interviewed me after, like almost as if I was in a confessional, and were like, ask me questions like, who are all these people at your house? Like, how did you all become friends? And I was like, oh my God, like this is crazy. And this was last October, so fully a year ago. And I never had any experience with like reality TV or anything like that. So that was really crazy. And that actually led into how this podcast started, because a few weeks later, they get back to us and they're like, listen, we're about to hit a recession. We don't know if it's a great time to pitch this as a reality show, which at first I thought they were bullshitting me. I was just like, you can just tell us that like, we're not that great. But they were just like, no, to be honest, you guys are perfect. But like the people at the network, they're older. They want to see more data and numbers. Like, do you think the 4 of you, meaning me, myself, Casey, Bailey, Lindsay, would start a podcast first? And then we can use your data, like your streams, your downloads, to pitch to the network that like you have an audience. And we were like,
I totally forgot that was like,
yeah,
why.
I forgot about that too until recently. So that's kind of how the podcast came about. They were like, let's start a podcast. And we came up with the name Between Us Girlies because everyone on TikTok called us the girlies already. And like, we felt like it would be fun to create a space where like we can talk and spill gossip and tea, and keep it between us as in
And you
us.
can't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Everything we
Right.
say here is a secret just for us.
Yeah. So you guys are in on the bit. Everything that we talk about between us, obviously. But anyway, we ended up not going forward with the production studio. If anyone's ever done anything with showbiz, like things get complicated. When it got down to the funds, how we were going to get split up revenues, it got really sticky, and I was just not really loving the vibe, and it just made sense to kind of part ways. But we got so hyped to do a podcast in the process of it.
It was such a tease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we finally got the show rolling, and here we fucking are today.
Give yourselves a snap.
Yeah, like we fucking did it.
And I think that tease made us want it more.
No,
Like,
100%.
it made us like have that drive to like, all right, let's find this and do it. Like, let's actually get sitting down and recording.
Because I feel like we would have these like weekly meetings with this production company, and they would like pitch us stuff. And first off, we never were into it. Like they were just, the silence on our end was always insane.
Deafening.
But literally everything they would pitch, I feel like we would be texting in the group chat like, I think we should do it this way.
Yeah.
And then they would pitch something else and we'd be like, I don't like that. I think we need, and every time it felt like we were just forming this, like our own podcast, and moving further away from what they thought should be the podcast.
Yeah, they had like they literally sent us a document of like potential names, and most of them were like things that I had said in my own TikToks, which like, even though we are all best friends, all of our brands are very different. Like the things that I say on TikTok are not the things that you guys would necessarily say.
One that
some pasta and some dick was like, they literally like, I don't, I'm like, how is that going to be the name of a podcast?
yeah, like what would people think the podcast is about?
How
Like,
do you even introduce that?
That's like a
hey,
Netflix
guys.
show. That's
Welcome
like a
to
big
some
mouth.
pasta and some dick.
Yeah, like what?
can you imagine the merch? Just like,
Honestly, they might have done something.
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, like, if anyone at home wants to steal that idea and start a podcast where you eat pasta and talk about dick, like, go for it.
here's your free promo.
I will fucking watch. You can take my idea, but
Let's trademark that on the side just in case
Yeah,
any of
really
us
quick.
want to have that. Take that back. Do not take that idea from us.
But yeah, so this is where we are today. I feel like we should go into like a little origin story, and then enough background information, but how we all met. So Lindsay and I met first. The year was 2001. I had just moved to the suburbs. I feel like you need to take it from here.
Yeah, I got you. So we grew up in a neighborhood where it was like grossly boys. We had no girls in the neighborhood. It was really just me and like two other girls, but they didn't like to come outside. I had two brothers, so obviously I wanted to fit in and play with them. And Brandon was so lucky to live in our cul-de-sac, or like keyhole, whatever you want to call it. And that's where ruckus happened. So that's where everybody would play. And one day I was thrown off of a scooter by this boy in my neighborhood. Hope he's having a blessed day. And all the boys just left me there to cry on the curb. And I saw this kid run out of his house. And he was so cute. And he runs over to me and he's like, hi. And I'm like, hi. And he's like, are you okay? And I was like, no. And he's like, well, do you like Bratz dolls? And I was like, now wait a minute. I was like, I do. And he's like, okay. So he runs up this like hill, like Brandon's house sits on a hill. And it's important because he literally runs down the hill with this big ignorant Tupperware. Like, I'm going to bring my college clothes in this bin down the driveway. And I'm like, what is in this? It is every single Bratz doll accessory, doll.
I'm so jealous.
No, like it was a collection it was a masterpiece. I gripped myself. I was like, this is my new best friend. And we played every single day from that day.
Yeah, I was
My
a
Bratz
collector.
that's
I
like
love
every
all the
little
dolls.
girl's dream
Yeah.
is to have a friend who has every
Especially a next door
Bratz doll.
neighbor.
It was perfect too, because like I had just moved to the neighborhood and I was looking for friends, and when I saw Lindsay get pushed off the scooter, I was like, this is my opening.
Why didn't you help me? I'm kidding.
I mean, I kind of
did.
did.
You did.
I raced out, made sure you were okay, and then rewarded you with Bratz galore.
You're absolutely right.
So Lindsay and I, we grew up together. We've been friends for 22 years. We're roommates now. We didn't go to college together, though. Lindsay went to Penn State, where basically everyone in the state of Pennsylvania went, except for me, Casey, and Bailey. We went to...
We did.
In your dreams.
Yeah.
We went to a tiny liberal arts college. At the time, it was called Philadelphia University. Now it's Thomas Jefferson University, East Falls campus. They got bought out.
Textile, if you're familiar with that name
Yeah,
as
it
well.
used to be textile.
But it was a glorified high school. It
Yeah.
was miniature. Like
It was
we knew
probably
everyone.
2,000 students undergrad, like AKA like probably 500 to 600 people in each grade. And like we're referring to it as a grade because like Casey said, it was literally high school.
Sometimes I feel like I went there. Like I'll meet two people and I'll be like, oh, I went to Philly U.
It was like the best decision ever. I
Right.
love it, but it was hearing
And I
other
think-
people's stories. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah,
so
like
small.
big school, little school, there's perks to both. We obviously like we're super intimate, for better or for worse. You know, sometimes if someone knew shit about you at school, Everybody on campus knew about it. But it's so funny because I met Bailey before school even started. The school had invited us to an overnight orientation. It was the July before freshman year. So like you're split up into these groups. You're meeting everybody for the first time. It's like your first taste of like what college experience will be like. We literally slept in the dorms. And I remember we did an icebreaker where we had to partner with somebody, and Bailey and I were both trying to partner with the same girl. And I was like, who the fuck is this Bailey bitch? Like already stealing my number one friend.
Bitchy. God forbid.
But something I learned about Bailey really quickly was there's more than meets the eye, because Bailey was wearing this Charlotte Russe kimono. She seemed so trendy, so sweet. I mean, you are trendy.
Thank you.
But she seemed very wholesome. And I was like, oh, like this girl's going to be like a straight A student. She's going to like be on her best behavior. Like that was not the case.
That was also my second time in Philadelphia when you met me.
My God.
That was only my second time in the city.
So
it was innocent. You were right.
That was not the case. I ended up seeing Bailey at every single party that existed at our school. And not just seeing Bailey, like Bailey is a force. Like she is standing on the staircase. She's standing on a table. And so was I. And we were just always like, like waving across to each other. We were in two separate friend groups, but we were like the dickhead of the friend group. So when everybody would leave the bars, oh my gosh, when everybody would leave the house parties, Bailey and I would be like the last people there. So we would always like just be together.
Yeah, take our Ubers back to campus together. Like we always saw each other out, or we texted like, hey, where are you going to be at tonight? Because we're just like both like the popular kids in freshman year.
It's so weird to say that.
I know, it's doing like quotations around popular.
More like degenerates. Like we never went home.
Yeah,
like no, it was very much a suitcase school. Like people would go home on the weekends, not Bailey and I. We would stay at school. And I would always be like, okay, if it's Friday at 8:00, I'm texting Bailey and seeing what's going on if I don't already have a plan.
Yes.
And then Miss Casey transferred, which just adds to the high school layer, because like, you know, when there's a new girl in school and like, it's just like, oh my gosh, a fresh new hottie came in.
I've been to the villa, whatever that was.
Yeah, welcome to the villa, Casey. I met you through the person you were dating at that time, which is super chaotic, a story for another time. But I just instantly remember I saw a picture of you at Made in America, which is the Philadelphia Music Festival. And I was like, oh my gosh, she goes to Philly U? I was like, I've never seen her before. The next weekend, I see her in person getting down at this party. She was wearing leather pants, booties, like, and she was, I mean, you were just a force to be reckoned with. You were just like twerking, getting low, and I was like, oh, she's an idiot. I was like, I want to be her friend.
Yep, I literally remember being in the middle of the dance floor, and I like didn't really know anyone because I transferred, and I lived in a weird situation where I lived with sophomores, and we were all freshmen at the time, or whatever it was. I lived with juniors, whatever. Lived with people not in our grade. So I didn't really have a ton of friends. And I remember I met you and I came home that night and I told my roommate, I was like, oh my God, I met this guy. And she was like, oh yeah, that's Bran Flakes. Like he goes to all the parties. Like, you know who he is. And then I was like, oh, okay. And the next weekend we like ended up texting each other and going out. The first party we went to, we did get denied from.
Yeah, which was really, that took the wind out of my sail. Because I was like, oh my God, I'm going out with this new girl. I'm going out with Casey. And when we got denied, I was like, oh, this girl's never going to go out with me again. She's going to be like, oh, I'm not going out with Brandon. He can't get into parties.
No, we had so much fun. I felt like we like think about things the same way. We're both like very like deep thinkers, but also like really stupid. And we love to party and just be so extra. So I feel like we instantly clicked, and you and I were in like the same friend group, and we would always see Bailey out, like you were saying. Right. And I remember like my very first memory of Bailey. So we were at a party, and you know, in college when you'd get like stuck in a room for 3 hours and then you leave and like the party's over and all of your friends had left. Me and Brandon were in a situation like that. We were upstairs and we walk out and there's no one left downstairs. So we're like getting ready to leave and we walk into the kitchen and Bailey was just by herself having the time of her life. She's like, okay, where are we going next? And we all like went to another party together, I think.
Yeah. So I feel like 2015, 2016 was just a very different time for like social media, just different. Life in general. Yeah. So I also had the same come up story with Casey as well, because I also saw her on Instagram and she was friends with this girl I was close with freshman year. So I was like, okay, my replacement. But I loved her Instagram, like look, I'm like, she has a good presence. Anyways, I see this girl at a party getting down because at first I was the only one who was like dancing at our house parties.
Yeah.
But when I saw this girl twerking, getting down, I'm like, I have someone to dance with. I'm like, yes. So we became friends. I remember we were at another party. It was me, you, and our other friend. We were sitting there. You were drinking tequila and orange juice, and I started drinking tequila and orange juice after that, short after. And you were like, we should be friends. And I was like, we should. And then after that, like, after college, we lived together. I mean, we just stopped living together this past July.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
We've lived together for like 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years.
We were like pretty close before we moved in together, but our house was like 3 stories and me and Bailey lived on the same floor. And I feel like just living together and like sharing a bathroom and always just like seeing each other, we got so close. We were like,
Right.
we realized we're so similar and we like hate the same things and like the same things. So we got super close and then moved into our own little shoebox
Shack.
apartment. Yeah, that we lived in for like way too long.
That was
3
like
years.
a honeymoon suite. Like, you know, when people like just get married in their early 20s, and they're like, all right, let's move in together in a small little apartment. That was us.
That apartment was electric though.
It
Like
was.
we had some of the best times, the
It packed
greatest
a punch.
memories
Yeah.
in that place.
I miss the parking.
So
Me too.
that's actually good to note. So Lindsay didn't know Casey and Bailey, like, because Lindsay and I were the type of friends where in college we kind of were just like, we would text each other here and there, but like we would see each other when we saw each other. Like we were always going to be best friends. We were always going to be neighbors. But Lindsay moved home after graduating from Penn State, and Casey and Bailey moved into their own place, but I also moved home. So me and Lindsay would start hanging out because, you know, when you move home after college and it feels like all your freedom is taken away again. It's like, wait, I now have to tell my mom where I'm going.
yeah.
So I told Lindsay right away, I was like, listen, my 2 best friends, Casey and Bailey, have a house in the city. We're not on this fucking suburb type of time. Like, they are so chill. They'll let us sleep over. They'll let us pregame, like anything we want. And Lindsay's like, bet. So I was like, we got to hit it off. And it happened so naturally. And let me just say that not everybody always gets along. And there is a reason why there are 4 of us and not 10 of us.
Yeah.
We have lost some soldiers along the way. America's Next Top Model, the fade out. These are the 4 remaining
Like
models.
American flag toss.
Yeah.
But you guys got along, Casey and Bailey got along great with Lindsay.
I feel like so Casey and Bailey, when Casey was referring to the house where her and Bailey lived on the same floor, that house was a staple in our friend group and in our larger friend group as well. Like that was the turn up spot. That was where you went. That was where you hooked up with
We threw some
someone.
parties
like,
in that house.
did.
Yeah.
you fought in that house. You loved in that house. You drank. Like it was fun.
Yeah.
And I remember I would go there, but like I wasn't super close with you guys. Like I remember like meeting you, Bailey, for the first time, and I was like, oh, like she's black, so like there are no cons.
Come
like,
on now.
Period. And then when I met Casey, it was like the same energy that Brandon and Bailey were talking about, where it's like drop it energy. Like sometimes Casey is full blown light skin, where you just feel it's the same reason I liked Bailey. Like, oh, Casey's a little black. So I mean, like obviously that was an attraction that I had to both of you. You guys were just very fun. And
Attracted
then
to me?
a little, maybe. And then when you guys moved to your shoebox apartment, that was where things really got lit. Like that's where Brandon and I just, like we became the 3rd and 4th roommate in that apartment. And I just think that our friendship blew up from there. And because it was kind of around the time of COVID when everything was closed and like we were trying to find our way, Brandon and I were trying to find our way, you know, navigating out of the suburbs. It was just like you guys were kind of like our angels, I guess. Like our like I don't know, like
Where's
our
one of
party
the little
saver.
Guiding
Yeah.
lights.
So yeah, that was really great. I just remember, you know, hitting it off really well with you guys. So
Yeah.
We all had like the same energy.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like it's a beautiful moment when you look around and you're like, oh, she's an idiot, or like he's so stupid. Like that's what we feed off of. I think that's what keeps our friendship going. And people who don't get that are just like, you guys are weird, but it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
And we use idiot in the most endearing term in this friend group. Like if we call you an idiot, like, oh, you're an idiot, like that means we love you.
The
Like
nicest way
clown.
possible.
you have like chaotic energy that like we just resonate with.
Yeah,
you know those
100%.
thoughts you have and you're like, oh my God, I cannot say this in front of this group of people. Like they will think I'm so dumb or they'll think I'm so weird. Like that doesn't exist in this friend group.
Never.
I could
Right.
tell you guys the most absurd thing, the darkest secret, like anything. And you guys would be like, oh my God, I just thought that the other day.
I get some kickback from you guys sometimes.
Now,
Bailey,
first off, sometimes you're the kick.
Bailey Leona, you're nasty. Just like something mean like that. But I think we also have a genuine respect. Like, I
Yeah.
can hang out with you guys because you guys know when I'm hungover, don't push the buttons. Like, not many people know that, but we have a genuine love and respect for each other. We're like, I can be around you guys in any given situation.
We
And
know each
have
other's
been.
pressure points.
No, the beauty of Casey and Bailey is that both of you hate loud. Like if somebody asked me like, oh, what's Casey and Bailey's pet peeve? Like they are so aligned, like true Capricorn sisters. They do not like loud. Like if you come, you need to come correctly because it's not a fun time.
Yeah,
It's
like when
not.
somebody comes screaming into a room, like there is a few select amount of people that can do that and carry the energy that volume brings. But if you lack the energy that how loud your voice is, like if those two things don't match up, I would really prefer you just.
She's
And
getting
it's
upset.
it's a little scary sometimes when the two of you are like in that moment because Casey does this thing where I call it the finger pistol where you know she'll make the little gun with her hand and it will go up in the air and it is just like shut up, like shut up, and Bailey will just look at you and that look is like if her superpower was lasers coming out of her eyes, like they are.
I can tell when Bailey's in a bad mood.
Yep.
I can tell like when I can push Bailey's buttons. I can tell I'm like,
Let me just be quiet.
not today.
I just shut up. I'm like,
Yep.
Yep.
I'm like, okay.
We've gone on enough vacations and trips together to like know like the inner workings of our friendship. Like we're not surface level. We've lived together. We know how it is.
you guys can paint my body for like, full
Yes.
what it is.
100%.
I feel like everyone always asks us why we live in Philly. I don't really like know how to describe it. Like I personally love Philly. I think it's like just a gritty city where everything is chaos, similar to like how me, Casey, and Billy were talking about going to like a smaller school. Like Philadelphia is like the 6th biggest city, but
Yeah.
like I've always resonated with Philadelphia is small town, big buildings. If you go out, which most people here do, it is a
Everyone.
very sports binge drinking city.
Yep.
You are going to run into the same friend groups week after week. You're going to hook up with someone's ex. It's going to get messy.
You even have those people where you'll like run into someone at the bar, someone you've never met before. You just see them and you're like, yo, what's up? And you don't know where they come from or like what their steez is,
Yeah.
but like that's your homie.
That just
Yeah.
reminded me at the
Period.
restaurant I was at yesterday. So many people ended up coming in. I was like, oh my God, what are you doing here? It just turned into like a full fest.
Yeah.
It's high
Incest
school.
fest.
It's like you're a local celebrity everywhere you go here. Like
It's the
everyone
best.
knows you.
Yeah.
I love that feeling. I love like just feels like everyone's on the same page in this city. Like if you want to drink, so does the rest of the city. If you're staying in and having a chill night, honestly, so is the rest of the city.
Which
Like
is crazy how
Yeah.
that works.
It's so
Like
weird.
when you really think about it, the fact that it could be a random Friday night, the weather could be fine, like nothing really keeping anyone in, but the energy in the air, like you just smell, it's like, oh, it's movie night, you know? So I don't know.
it's just such a fun, especially for our age and like where we are in our lives. I think this is like such a fun city. It's like,
Yeah.
it just makes sense. I feel like our age demographic is really prominent here. I feel
Yeah.
like.
There's a lot of people between like 25 to 34. I know this because my TikTok analytics say that is majority of my audience and they live in Philadelphia.
Wow.
So if you're listening and you're between those ages,
Hey, everyone.
should we do a segment, you guys? Like our first.
What should we start with?
So I do this series on TikTok that honestly Lindsay should get partial credit for because I go into the kitchen while this girl is working her 9 to 5 and I say, Lindsay, let me tell you a subject and rank the order of what it should be in. So I do these pyramid rankings inspired by Abby Lee Miller, where I'll
Queen.
say a topic.
Is she?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know
a
about that.
little. Let me stop.
So I figured in the spirit of Halloween, we could do ranking the most basic Halloween costumes we saw this weekend. So for those, the bottom of the pyramid would be not so basic, a little more creative. The midpoint would be pretty basic. And the top slot goes for what you think by far is the most basic.
I think we should say the first. I think
Start with
that
the top.
we should all at the same time say what we think
Is the
most
most basic?
basic.
Oh,
no.
Because I want to see
There's
if we're all
two stuck
aligned.
in there, but I can say that. I think we all can say that first one.
Okay, ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Haley and
Haley,
Justin. That red dress and, the hoodie with Justin. I have no disrespect, no ill will towards anybody who chose to do that costume. A lot of you ate it the fuck up.
Yes.
But oh my God, I think if I had that costume planned for Saturday and I woke up and saw every single person do it on Friday, I would have switched.
Yeah.
I would have switched. I did not expect that costume to be the most blown up of the year.
I told you
it's-
guys. I told you guys 3 weeks ago. I was like, if we go out for Halloween, I really wanted to be Hailey Bieber and Justin or
did
whatever.
say that.
But I know that everyone in the world is going to be.
But we all said, yeah, that's a good idea. But I didn't think everyone in the world
Literally,
was
it
going to
was
be
a good idea
It
until
is,
it came.
yeah.
And it's
you know.
easy if your boyfriend doesn't care and he owns, like, it's easy. I get it. But the problem with having a basic Halloween costume is like the more people who do it, the easier it is to compare who did it bad. If you have an
Yeah.
obscure costume, you can get away with looking like shit because no one even, one, knows who you are or no one can compare. But when it's like your timeline is only red dresses and Crocs, it's like, wow, those Crocs are orange and the real outfit's yellow. Or like you can
Right.
just really pick it apart.
You can compare who went more effort on it.
Yeah, and if you had a Krispy Kreme box as your prop, like that adds
Yep.
something to it, but no one's gonna do that.
I have one that I don't think was basic at all. I thought it was so creative, and I don't know if this was on anyone else's TikTok.
I've wrote a
FYP.
list of them, so I hope it's on here.
I saw two gay men be Tiffany Gomez, aka the woman on the plane who said that motherfucker is not real, and they ate it. They got her whole outfit. The one man, I wish I remembered his the commitment that him and his friend group gave to it. They were on a party bus, and he got up. The whole party bus was silent. Like he told everybody, "Shut the fuck up! I'm filming something."
my
And it was a masterpiece.
Wow, I wish
That
someone
is-
would have done that.
yeah,
in
That's a
here.
I love
good
that.
one.
What was yours?
I have a few, but I don't know which one to say first. Either
Say your favorite, maybe.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
Come on,
I
dog.
thought that was the best. I've saw like only like a few people do it because apparently she's getting out this year.
Free her.
Yeah, so my friend was like, "You should do it," but there were so many good people. I saw someone like there was Gypsy Rose and like the mother, and they were like wheeling her in like a wheeling chair, like an office chair, and I was like, "Please."
Is that like a little messed up?
It's a little. I saw the post removed.
Okay.
Um,
Supposed to remove.
You know what? I was a little interested with some of the costumes. Like I saw a lot of people wear like hospital gowns and they were like sick of you or something. Like they wrote a sign.
Oh, yeah, the
And
punny
I was
costumes.
like, you know, maybe I'm too sensitive. I kind of thought that was a little like pushing it.
well, I remember during COVID, I was like, I don't think people should dress up as like nurses or doctors this year because I was like, I feel like it's a little insane. Like during
yeah,
COVID,
during
I was like, I feel
COVID.
like service people like don't dress up.
That's
as
valid.
that. Yeah, but we're 2023 now.
Did
But I see
anyone-
what you're saying.
Some people just have no like gauge for that. Like in my boyfriend's like Slack today, they were all sending their family Halloween costumes, and these are like people being Buzz Lightyear and Woody, like full. And this girl sent a picture of her and her boyfriend, and she said, "We are cokey and smoky," and she had white dust all over her face and her outfit. And her boyfriend had like joints in his hand, and they were cokey and smoky.
Oh,
and
that's
she
giving
sent it
HR.
in Slack. In Slack, she sent that picture, and I was like, "Oh my god, she has no gauge for like what is appropriate in any context." It was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I'm actually like blown away.
Should I get on the
blown.
pyramid?
Sorry.
That's oh my god, I'm so shook up about that.
So on the bottom of the
Right.
pyramid, most creative, we have Tiffany Gomez, Gypsy Blue. Does anyone have another? What's
Gypsy Blue. That's a bar.
Oh my God! Take me out,
Gypsy
Rose. Not me talking about a full ass bar. That's when you know you have a drinking problem. Okay.
Wait,
sorry.
I kind of had a good one.
Okay.
So
What was it?
I had two. I'm a huge Proud Family stan, and I saw Penny Proud and 15 Cent. And if you watch the Proud Family movie, you will know that that is an iconic outfit. Like they ate down on this. And then I saw another one. I think his name was Tebow, but he is the bagel guy from iCarly who
I saw a
has
bunch
the
of people
bagel.
doing that.
I thought that was so fun.
I
I was
like
like,
that
that's
one.
lit. Yeah.
I saw Nicole Kidman from the AMC commercial.
Oh wait, that's great.
I
Yeah.
love that.
You
That
know
was
I love
great.
her.
Yeah.
That is like my favorite.
Such good ASMR in that commercial as
Yeah.
well.
One last one before we move on to the basic, the mid pyramid. I saw my queen. Monet McMichael was Jordan Woods and had her friend be Kylie. And they filmed a mock TMZ skit that when I first saw it, I was like, oh my God, Monet's in TMZ. Like, good for
I
her.
thought it was real.
I thought it was so well done. Monet, I don't think you'll be listening or watching this, but if you are, you ate that shit
Snap,
up.
girl.
I have homework.
I
I want to go
loved it.
watch.
Yeah,
It was
I wanna see
amazing.
that.
One more honorary mention. That's it for me. It was a rose vibrator. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh my God.
Some guy dressed up as like a rose vibrator, and I was like, "That's so creative."
Wow.
It's a little scary, but all right.
I think the midpoints, I think we will probably all agree. Barbie and Ken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taylor and Travis.
Yeah.
I
That wasn't as overplayed.
Yeah,
as
I
I
will
thought.
say,
I agree.
Taylor and Travis, I was expecting more. I feel like everyone was like, we're so sick of seeing this in the news that we're going to give it a break, which I like appreciated.
It's also harder than it looks. Like, one,
Yeah.
capturing the essence of Taylor Swift is a job in itself. Like, girls broke their throats dressing up for her tour.
Yeah.
So it's like
Oh,
dressing up
yeah.
as her is already a challenge. But then dressing up as King Travis, like you have to have the aesthetic and the look.
And
And
the
no-
swag.
Yeah, like not everybody can do it.
I did see one person where half of them was Travis.
That's
like they had
funny.
like they cut their hat in half and had like half a jersey, and then the other half was Taylor Swift. I was like, that was really funny.
That's
Yeah,
cute.
that's clever.
Barbie and Ken, this was the year to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we all knew it was coming, and it was such a good fucking movie.
Yeah.
And I really do love the sound where it's like, this is Barbie's dream house. And
Yeah.
Ken's like, ha, 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 right as always. And like,
Right.
I will say this. If your boyfriend agrees to do that TikTok sound, and maybe this is just me having bare minimum expectations, I think that's a green flag. I think it's a green flag if he's willing to do the Barbie TikTok with you.
Or any TikTok for that matter.
Yeah.
There are so many TikToks where you can tell that boyfriend does not give a fuck about what is happening. Like if your boyfriend can just buy in and please you and learn a few lyrics, like that,
Yeah.
that's a good sign.
Like if he's not judging you and is like, why are you posting this? Or like, I don't want to take this photo. Like if he's giving you TikTok energy, that's a green flag.
That is a green flag.
Ladies, gays, and theys, that is a very
100%
big
yes.
green flag.
I'm gonna add that to my wish list. Men,
Do we
if you're
have any
listening-
other ones that we
Please
think
film a TikTok.
were super mid, like kind of basic? Those were the ones I
I
had.
feel like the like, and this is, I feel like torn about this because if I was in college, I feel like I would kind of do the same thing. But like the Fashion Nova, like mini versions of every costume.
Stop.
Like, yeah.
Casey, I have no, because I feel passionately about this. I was just telling Brandon. The little diaper pants, like I'm Buzz Lightyear. No, you aren't. You want some cheeks, and I get it. There is nothing more fun than finding a nice man or woman to go home with in a Halloween costume. But that, sweetie, just a bathing suit as Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah.
The Fashion Nova should be banned for those costumes. It is my. Oh my God, I'm going to scream. Like, I want to throw the microphone in front
I
of me.
did get my Flintstones costume from a few years
That
ago
doesn't
from
count.
Fashion Nova.
That went hard. It does
Okay.
not count. You looked great. It was a 10 out of 10 costume.
Thank you.
I'm talking about the act. They look like
like a leotard?
diapers. No, Bailey,
No, not
they're-
even that would be
it's-
giving them more fabric if they were a
Yes,
leotard.
it's like pull-ups. Like, you know when you put a pull-up on a toddler?
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
And it's like, listen, I get it. Like, I was in college. I threw cat ears on a black outfit and called myself a cat. But, like,
Right.
if you're going the mile to buy a costume, just, like, personalize it a little bit. Don't just buy the, like, one-size-fits-all costume and then every girl on your timeline. is
Stop
doing that.
half-assing your Halloween costume.
You heard it here.
Be this year.
So it's so funny. My most viral video ever on TikTok was something that the four of us came up with. And it leads us into what we were for Halloween. So we were Survivor. I was Jeff Probst. You guys were tribe mates. I thought we ate it up. I thought our video deserved a fucking Oscar. You guys were acting.
so good.
But if anyone has been living under a rock and has never seen the show Survivor, I feel very passionate about Survivor. It was the theme of my bar mitzvah. The premise of the show is very simple. You live on an island, and every 3 days you vote someone off. The only way you can protect yourself from not being voted off is if you win an immunity challenge and are granted the immunity necklace. Then you are safe. And we use this term immunity necklace to describe, basically it's a warning text. We send this in the group chat, immunity necklace, and that signals to everybody in this room that what is about to come, it's not necessarily kind, it's not necessarily smart, politically correct. It's not going to be very, very nice.
Right.
It might also, I think this is what we need to stress, it might also be weird. Like I have something weird to say. Can you guys not judge me? It could be a hot take. And I think we need to do an immunity necklace segment. And feel free to jump in if you have one. If you don't have one this week, that's okay. But I have one that is grinding my gears.
Let's hear it.
And this, like I said, it can be a little bit of a hot take. I think the cap cut templates are ruining TikTok. And this is why I'm going to say this. What makes TikTok so fun is that you can create meme culture, but you yourself can create it with a trending sound, yourself, and your own thought-generated caption. now that these CapCut templates are taking over, I feel like I'm on Twitter again. And I love Twitter when I'm on Twitter. When I'm on TikTok, I want to be on TikTok.
Yes.
And I'm seeing people just remake memes. And then there is one level higher. These AI photos.
Here we go.
You've seen them. The Pixar template with the little, you got a friend in me, Toy Story background. And even who I love so much, Taylor Swift, the 1989 templates. I love Taylor Swift. I want to see her gorgeous face on that blue screen with the swans. I don't care what you look like on the
haven't seen that one.
1989 cover.
Oh, they're breathtaking. Sorry, my bad. Let me let you pop off.
And that's the beauty of immunity necklaces. No one has to agree. But I am sick of seeing CapCut templates with all of these AI photos,
The yearbook
photos.
Yes.
Listen, I understand the appeal. Oh, I want to see what I would look like if I was in a 90s yearbook. Do it. Make it. Send it to your mom. Send it to your mom. Mom, how cute is this? Don't post it.
But some of them get like so many
So
likes, and I'm like, what
many
this is the fifth one I've
views.
seen. Like, I don't get it.
How about people making them like they're like LinkedIn photos?
No, they're not.
Yeah.
Really? Yes, they are.
Okay.
Oh.
Now that is where I separate. Because if you're going to use
okay.
the template and not post on TikTok, I don't care if you do AI. If you want to do AI, make a fake LinkedIn photo, get your bag. But I don't want to see it on TikTok. I don't care what you and your situationship's baby may or may not look like.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't.
And then there's also the ones that are like kind of fake too, right? Like you can put in what photo, it'll be like, what celebrity do I
Right.
look like? And then you can put in what celebrity you want it to say, and then people act surprised. Like,
Yeah.
enough.
There is one, now that I think about it, the CapCut template where it was like the banana or something falling out of the out of a plane. It was like, oh, it was like me. It's like me when I see dreadheads go to a party. Like that was funny. But my thing is, I don't like it because I can't do it. Because whenever I go to CapCut,
Yeah, it doesn't work for me either.
It doesn't work. And also, what AI are we downloading? Is it
They're,
just that
they're
AI?
paying like $7
yeah,
for
you
it.
like pay
Oh.
like $14.99
Wait,
for
this
I
isn't
didn't.
free?
No.
Oh, wow.
Because I did try. For the fun of just knowing I was
Which
bored.
is
I'm
fine.
unemployed. I've
I
got
knew
nothing
you
to
weren't
fucking
gonna
do.
post them.
Yeah, never in my life. And the people who took it a step further and posted on their Instagram feed,
They're great.
Yes.
they should be blocked
Hell
from
no.
Instagram for 30 days.
Yeah, I just...
Such a good rule.
it goes back to that false sense of importance, babe. I don't care. And yeah, there's my Muni necklace. The viewers at home are probably like, wow, he's a bitch. Does anybody else have one, please? So I don't seem
I
like
have
the
like
only
a
jerk.
Halloween related one.
Okay, let's hear it.
I cannot stand when people don't reference their Halloween costume when they post it on Instagram. I am nosy, okay? I want to know what you are. I want to see how good you did it. I want to see if it's relevant. And when people just post one picture and it's just what they were and a caption and it's quotes from a movie I've never seen, I don't know what the fuck you are. And now I have to go Google it or try to figure it out or look at the comments, and I don't want to do that. Just swipe Instagram, put that feature for a reason. If you're doing a meme or a quote, like, give the viewers some context.
I feel like this goes back to what you said earlier. I feel like the people who do not post a swipe know that they did a shit job.
That's true.
They were
Like,
like,
I don't want you to know what I was.
They go to do the swipe and they're like,
Wow.
oh, wow, this looks nothing like what I was actually trying to be. So I'm just going to take that L and I'm just going to post the main photo.
That's true. That might be what they're thinking. But just like add context.
Yeah.
I'm
I
nosy.
agree.
I want to know what you're doing.
If
Like,
it's like an astronaut, though, I don't want to see all the
Right.
people on the moon.
Yeah, no. If it's like a cat or
And
like
I
a
don't-
firefighter, like
It's
you
so
know what that looks
funny.
like.
We didn't plan on dressing up. And I only wanted to dress up because my whole TikTok For You page was people in costumes. And I was like, damn, that really is like, I think TikTok is now the new Halloween post. Like, I used to be Instagram, like my Instagram Halloweens would always pop off so hard. But now I'm like,
That's so
I get
true.
way more excited to post on TikTok on Halloween now than Instagram.
it's like perfect for transitions. Like
Yeah.
it's like what that is made for.
It's also fun. Like it gives you an idea of what you might want to be like next year, how to create your
Right.
costume. People are always ahead of it. I love those TikToks where it's just a bunch of swipes and it's like costumes for you and your friends, costumes for yourself, costumes for you and your man. Like 10 out of 10.
And I just love that we're entering the era of like hot girls can be ugly. Like they like hot girls aren't wearing the
that?
like hot
Steve
girls
Harvey.
aren't wearing all the hot costumes anymore.
Right.
Like these amazing,
Oh.
beautiful girls are dressing up as like dudes. As I sent you a
Yes.
TikTok this morning that was like sexy Steve Harvey, and it was a girl
right.
as Steve Harvey, but she had on fishnets and boots.
Yeah.
Like
No, I do love that.
hot girls
I love
don't
when
have to
people-
be hot all the time.
I love when people are weird on
Yes.
Halloween. Like we were weird.
We
like,
were.
Yes.
what do you mean you're Survivor? We're fucking weird. We're weirdos.
And like I wanted to, besides doing Survivor, like I wanted to like weird costumes this year. I was
Yeah.
gonna do either Prison Mike or Steve Harvey, and I was like, I usually do like something like, oh, let's show the like least skin as possible. I'm like, let me just switch it up.
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
knows what I look like as a hoe. Like, I don't need to show this Halloween to prove that.
Yeah, that's like I love that. I love that it's like I saw this was so long ago, and this is such an old like reference, but like hot girls looking ugly is like the equivalent of like big dick energy. Like if you know you're hot, but you can go out and look ugly as fuck and you don't care anymore. Like I feel like in college I never left the house looking ugly. I was always so scared. And now I feel like I do not give a fuck what I look like. I would be willing to be something ugly for Halloween. Like girls who are hot and can be ugly, that's like a top tier girl.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of accept it. Sometimes without the makeup, I'm like, I can't do anything about it. I can't do anything about this face. I'm not always a 10, but like, listen.
That's
God-
how I feel about my clothes.
God
like
made me this way.
I'll look in the mirror and I'll look at Brandon and I'll go, wow, like I'm really going out like this. And I will. Sometimes I'll post it too, just to
Yep.
make myself feel better. I'll be
Right.
like, if you see me in these streets, no, you didn't, you know?
Did you have an immunity necklace, Lindsay?
I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be really hurtful, so I might have to keep mine to myself.
That's
You
fair.
can't just tease that.
Maybe next week.
This is
Alright.
going to
Let
be
me-
a segment. So like
Yeah.
I'm going to think it through because
Think it through the way you want to say it. Let's not get you in trouble, episode.
That's something that's wrong with me, and the listeners will soon realize that. Sometimes I trip over my words and I say things that are offensive or hurtful, and I don't realize, or just out of pocket, like out of control. And I don't want to do that episode one. So
That's fair.
I'm gonna keep it chill.
Bailey.
Mine, I have one written down, but I looked at it again. It's very disgusting. So I don't want to bring that to episode one just yet. Let's.
Oh, are you sure?
No, it's like kind of
I
sick.
already took a pass. Come on.
Oh, I don't know if we want to jump into like dirty websites already, but like I don't think that's episode
we
one.
can leave it for you have to listen to episode 2 to hear both of their
Yes.
Yeah, you got okay. Next week, you two come prepared with an immunity necklace.
Okay. I'll make mine as sick as yours.
All right.
I can feel like good vibes coming. It's like radiating
I was drunk
between
yesterday
us.
and I was like, let me write this down. I was like, wait, this is kind of nasty. Like as I was writing it down, I just looked at it again. I was like, ooh, but I'm gonna say it.
I feel like we should end just like kind of filling everybody in on like where we're at in life now. And I'll get this show started. So, like I said earlier, I'm a full-time TikTok creator. One thing that's going to be very interesting about me is I'm in my first relationship. If anyone else at home is in their first relationship, it's a really like exciting phase, but like also an interesting phase because you learn so much about yourself. So my boyfriend, his name is Josue. He lives in Philly too. But I don't want anybody to think that I'm not fun because I still am very fun.
We think you're fun.
Yeah, and I have a lot of really funny stories from my past when I was a CW, a certified whore. And I will definitely not be shy to share because like earlier, how we were talking about boyfriends who are down for TikToks, my boyfriend is a walking green flag. I am approved to say pretty much whatever I want. He hasn't had a problem with any of my TikToks yet. So I'm not nervous about this podcast. At least I don't think I should be.
No, I think you're good.
But yeah, I'm really excited to have this podcast. We already spilled some tea that only you guys know now because I've never talked about on TikTok us almost having a TV show. So insider tea for y'all, and we are going to be spilling a lot of insider tea. I will say this. I get asked a lot of questions that I will never answer on TikTok, but I will answer them here.
Yes,
So that's where
a
I'm
good
going to
idea.
leave off. Popcorn Lindsay.
Okay. So as I said before, I have a full-time job, 9 to 5. I work as a project manager at a tech company. And right now I would say I'm in a situationship, I guess. It's not like a full relationship. It was. But sometimes when you just have those ups and downs, it becomes like a relationship to a breakup, to a situationship, to a relationship. And it just,
It's free flowing.
yeah, it just keeps
Yeah.
coming back to you. So I don't really know what I'm doing. We'll figure it out along the way. But hopefully I figure it out soon because it's a stressful time to be alive.
That cycle.
We're going to grow with Lindsay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
I do know that a lot of people can definitely relate to that. I mean, before I was in my relationship, I was in the exact same boat, and situationships are so much harder to get over.
They're just like,
They are.
I have always had a boyfriend, and like coming out of so many relationships that have been such flops, and like no shade to those guys, like I respect most of them. But it's like, I've never been in a relationship that's been super healthy or super strong. And that really sucks. It says a lot about who I choose and a lot about my person. So hopefully this year, like this podcast, getting my feelings out, being surrounded by my girls will really help me push through and figure it out. But we'll grow together. It'll be fun.
Yeah,
I love that
we
for
will.
you.
Yeah.
I like that,
I might go to
Lindsay.
his house after this. Everyone pray for me. I'll
For
drop
the
you off
love
at
of
home.
popcorn,
Rand.
Bailey.
Yeah, so I'm easy. Whoa, wait. I was gonna say I'm easy. I meant to say like I'm just single. I'm like my situation.
What do you mean by that?
My situation is easy, kind of ish. I'm just single right now. I feel like I just went over my whole like job, age, sex, location, all that. I don't really know. I don't know how to say this without saying it. I don't know. I'm just like looking and dating around.
You're thriving.
I'm
Yeah,
thriving.
you're
I'm honestly
Yeah.
having such a good time right now because I feel like I was in a very disgusting, toxic situationship for like 3 years.
Tell us more. I'm kidding.
And so just trying to get out of that. I mean, it's a lot. Like it really sucks. It's not as easy as it seems, but after like getting out of that and just like taking a step back and like knowing what I want, and I'm not out there like chasing guys. I feel like I have like a big inflow right now of guys. I feel like I can see like my like confidence radiating, hopefully. I don't know. I feel good right now.
Yeah,
I'm
this
like
is
a
good
hot
era.
girl.
Yeah.
27 years.
I'm excited. I've been bullying Bailey every day. I'm like, we need a Bailey's Boys segment. So she's going to think of some code words. And we're
Some nicknames.
Yeah. We're going to talk about some of your suitors.
Yeah.
Because that is my favorite thing to hear Bailey talk
I know.
about.
I do have some tea after this episode to tell you guys though.
Oh, okay. Well, Casey, hurry up.
Well, we love the tea because Brandon and I are both in relationships. So I've been with my boyfriend for 1.5 years. We just moved in together, which is such a fun, completely different like journey. I will love to talk about that at some point because there are some things you just like don't think about until you live with someone and you're like, oh shit, this is so different living with a boy. It's fun, but I like living with girls too. But I'm really excited for this podcast. I feel like it's a really good chance for us all to just like talk and hang out and catch up, and like I love our dynamic and I'm really excited to like share it with everyone. I feel like people can relate to each one of us. We're all in really different stages of our lives, as you just heard.
Yeah.
But we're all also 27 and figuring it the fuck out. I don't think any of us would say we're 100% like figured out about
Right.
everything. Like
That's important to note too, like especially for our listeners at home who I'm sure are relating to this. Like this is a weird age. Like it's a
so
transitional age, and like I personally keep getting told like, oh, when you're 30, it gets crazy again. But like right now, I feel like in this time, like everyone's like kind of finishing off like the first part of their career and like wondering, do I want to continue this career? Do I want to switch paths? Like there's a lot of like a quarter life crisis, honestly. And I feel like since we're like pandemic kids, like the early part of our 20s, we missed like 2 years of it. And like now we're kind of feeling a little bit of a ripple effect. So
does anyone else on like pandemic skip TikTok?
No.
Okay,
Oh.
so this is we also want to talk about TikToks because I love the fact that everyone has a different For You page.
Yeah.
Because my For You page right now is all about the pandemic skip. So it's this theory that psychologists made, and I could be getting this wrong, do your own research, but that like whatever age you were when the pandemic started is like where you're at mentally. So like because 3 years were wasted. So these women that were like 27 when the pandemic started, and then it's 3 years later and they're 30 and everyone around them's having kids, they're like, oh my God, I'm not ready to have kids. I'm still young. I'm 27. And it's this total difference of like ages and stuff. And so I feel like we were in our early 20s when the pandemic started, and we took a big chunk of like the early 20s figuring your life out phase. And now we're 27 and we're still figuring it
Kind of
out.
doing it.
So
Yeah.
we can all do that together with the listeners because I know nobody has their shit together in a good way.
100%.
That's a really good point, Casey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I feel that too.
I'm 24.
I'm 25.
Yeah.
Well, I think this went a lot better than our first
I
time
know.
around. I'm really like,
So much better.
y'all are so
We
lucky.
saved you guys.
You did not have to listen to that first episode because you would not be back for episode 2. But this was Between Us Girlies, and like the title, keep everything between us girlies.
Yes.
Let's drop our socials, personal ones first. We fucked this up last time.
I thought it was so funny though.
But my name is Bran. On TikTok, I am Bran _flakes with 2 Z's. On Instagram, just 1_ Bran _flakes with 2 Z's.
I loved that.
It was good.
I'm Lindsay, black truffle with no C. So it's like Blake Truffle, BLAK, on TikTok and Instagram.
I'm going to make mine super simple because I messed it up the first time. My Instagram is Bailey Witherspoon. My TikTok is Bailey Fit with 3 T's. I'm going to post more workout videos on there, but for now it's just a little chaotic content.
I'm at Case Crodden on both Instagram and TikTok with just 2 N's at the end. And I'm trying to get to 20,000 followers on TikTok before my birthday. So everyone go follow me.
Go to 20K.
Yes, we can do that.
Yeah, it was. I had the other day. I was like setting goals, and I was like, you know what? I'm at 15.5K, and I really want to get to
you got that,
20,000
Casey.
by my birthday. So
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
And if you loved this podcast, which obviously you did, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Between Us Girlies Pod and on TikTok, Between Us Girlies. Yes, I'm looking at my notes. I promise we're going to get better.
And don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube, please.
I love that.
And all listening platforms.
And we'll see you guys next week for another episode. Bye, guys.
Bye.